Good evening. Welcome to the special council meeting, City of Hall, Marshfield, Tuesday, May 20th. Call to order, roll call. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Request to consider change order for the Brain Park Pickle lighting project presented by Steve Barg, City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for making time and make this work in your schedule. I realize that with Board of Public Works and Finance, budget and personnel now on the same night, it probably worked better than it would other times, but I appreciate the chance to get together. You all know the pickleball project has been moving forward. The courts look wonderful, and the lighting is ready to be hopefully moving ahead too, so they can have night tournaments and be able to play in the evenings. But we've had something come up. It was brought to our attention last week, I think it was Thursday, that the manufacturer of the light poles that were going to be installed by Merkel, that they had manufactured them as 24 feet in height rather than 26 feet, which is what the city had ordered, 26-foot poles. So at that point, they were apologetic, obviously. They gave us a couple of options. They said that, we can go ahead and deliver the 24-foot poles. We'd be willing to give you a discount on them because we screwed up. It's our fault. And ultimately, that would be a $10,000 discount. So that would reduce the price of the project from $83,000 to $73,000. And we probably have delivery, it sounds like maybe sometime in the first week in June, and get those installed and get the tournaments and the activities going out there the way the pickleball club and others would like to see. Having said that, it does raise the question as to whether or not having the 24 rather than 26-foot high poles would make a difference in terms of the playability or the use of the facility in a meaningful way. So in talking to Justin, looking at some documentation he gave me, I also met with Jennifer Solinsky, our finance director, who took a look at some of the things and felt that it really is something that this body needed to weigh in on to decide if they want to go that direction or not. If you got a chance to read my memo, you probably saw that we have two consultants, Architecture, who's been the consultant all the way through on this project for the city, but a company called Visual Impact Lighting has been the consultant with respect to the actual lighting for this part of the project. We've been working with them closely and they've been advising us. So both consultants have seen this. It's visual lighting, or visual impact lighting we've been most plugged into based upon their knowledge of lighting and illumination and how it would play on recreational facilities like this. They looked at, and you've got these drawings which you probably look at and say, Steve, what am I looking at? Okay, I'm not, unless you're better than me, I've had a hard time really being able to pick up on the nuances. But the long and short of it is the 24-foot lights, if we do that, around the perimeter on the walking path area around, it will probably be slightly dimmer. It'll be a few foot candles less, perhaps not noticeable to the naked eye, but there will be a slight difference that will be seen that way. On the other hand, there's other parts of the grounds, the court area, that will probably have a little bit higher foot candle coverage with the 24s and the 26. So it's kind of a give and take. Ultimately, though, you could say at some point, if you wanted to, we didn't order 24s. We don't want 24s. Our speccing was for 26. But again, if you feel that 24s are sufficient, and our consultants seem to feel that they probably are, you can get the $10,000 discount off the price and go with the original product. Again, they would get them to us probably here during the first week in June, hopefully, get them installed. Merkel's ready to move ahead when they get the go-ahead, when the product is here. If we have to order the 26-foot ones to be manufactured, we'll probably be waiting another 4 feet for that process. 4 feet. I don't know what that even means. 4 weeks for that to happen, and then delivery following. So we might be getting, perhaps into July. I don't have a date or anything for that to occur. So I'm not an expert in lighting. I don't think Justin is an expert in lighting. We kind of rely on the people who know this thing to tell us the impact. But I put the actual wording that we got from the consultant in the memo, the indication that I was telling you about being slightly darker around the sidewalk and path area on the west and east side by only a few foot candles, pretty minimal, and again, not very detectable to a lot of people. And then some areas that might see a little bit better coverage. That's pretty much what we're going on right now as our best guess from our consultant. I tried to get them to be with us tonight on Zoom. They were not available, unfortunately, but that's how they've weighed in on the product. So I take any questions. Justin can take any questions as well. But right now it's really a choice. Do you want to go ahead with the 24 feet, save the $10,000 and go with what we have? Or do you want to go back and ask for the 26-foot high poles to be manufactured and delivered? That would be a later date.
We have a motion on the floor by Alderman Tompkins. And Alderman Tompkins, your motion is?
My motion is that we would accept the 24-foot poles and have the $10,000 discount.
And Alderman Fire is a second, you agree? And then Alderman Fire. Your light is on. No, his light's not really on. Okay, Alderman Werman.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions, and I know you guys mentioned you're not the experts, and that's okay. I think from what I'm seeing on here, it sounds like there's very minimal changes. And looking at the lumens on the photometric survey, there doesn't seem to be a massive difference in most places. So I don't have a lot of concerns from a pickleball perspective, but I'm not sure and wanted to ask, is there a specific code at all for, like you mentioned, the walkways outside, anything outside that's considered a public park that would be accessible, that wouldn't be considered part of the pickleball play court?
I ran this by Pat Kilty, who is, among other things, our electrical inspector, asking for any comments, and I didn't hear anything to that effect of any particular concern from him in an email or response.
And it's an open area that's public access, so I didn't think there necessarily would be, but I wanted to make sure we're doing our due diligence and checking that. The second thing that I have, and this is my only complaint here, is where does the 10,000 come from? Like, that number seems just strange to me because I don't know what basis they have for that, because not only are all the light poles shorter, but we just approved in Public Works to push this deadline back by a month. So my only complaint with this contract is that not only are we not getting the product that we paid for, which we could accept, but we also have already given them extended time and they're giving us the wrong product. So I'm okay with it if everybody's okay with it. I don't see it being a massive issue. I just want to know why such an arbitrary number. Like, it's just strange.
Well, I'm not sure, and Justin, maybe you can help me on this. I'm not sure why 10,000. I think initially it might have been less than that, and there was an agreement to provide 10,000. It doesn't tie to any particular thing that you could put your hat on, hang your hat on. As far as the timing, how this all went down, I'm not sure if there's anything else that we can explain on that one. As far as why, I mean, you were asking why the timing got delayed first and now.
Well, I know that. I know that because I was on the vote for it, but I think my complaint is just the $10,000 is just such an arbitrary number. And I'm like, is that to make up for just the light poles being the wrong size, or are they considering that as well, that they also pushed it out a month? Because I mean, that's my complaint, right? Is like, we have a contract, and you know, I know Mike and I both know this pretty well from being in construction, but like, you have a contract, when you get a change order, it's usually because something that they have to add or do differently, not necessarily like they couldn't meet the deadlines or the materials. And that's where I'm like, yeah, we're getting 10,000 back, but why 10,000? Yeah,
I know. It seems like a fairly generous amount to me, and I'm not in that field. And I sort of thought maybe that's because, you know, they made these and they don't want to take them back. They don't want to leave them. They might have another customer, I imagine, someday. I don't know, but they manufactured them for us. So if they end up making 26-foot poles for us, they kind of end up left in the dark with what they've already produced. So I think they were wanting to incentivize us as best they could to take them, and they probably felt 10,000 was a reasonable amount. I don't know. I really don't have much more of an explanation for where that number came from.
And that's all right. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of challenge the norm there, and also see what you did, left in the dark. That was good. That was good. No, I think that's just where I stand. I'm okay with it. If the pickleball group's okay with it, it's minimal lighting changes. I don't think it's going to massively affect their play or any safety on the courts. I just wanted to know that a little bit, because it is challenging. It's frustrating when you have a deal and then somebody can't fulfill their part of the deal and then makes changes to kind of compensate for that. But other than that, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, and Justin did run it by the pickleball group, and they were supportive of this as well. They kind of knew what you're knowing here tonight about the potential impact around the fringes and what the consultant was saying, and they felt comfortable that it was going to be, you know, good for them as well. Again, they're not experts either, but from what they heard and saw, they were amenable.
Alderman O'Reilly.
Thank you, Mayor. At least one comment and probably a couple questions here. The first comment, I guess I would bring up is, we're doing a comparable to the lighting layout that we had before this to what it'll be with the 24-foot poles. When in reality, we should be comparing this to our original contract layout before one pole was removed and others were moved around, because that's the true difference in what we're looking for this contract. So I don't know if I've never seen a change order on the lights being moved, nor have I seen anything for a credit on the additional base that was not originally installed, that was in the contract. So that's extremely concerning to me. And I don't think, in reality, what was presented here for the foot candle or the photometric layout is actually what we should be looking at. We should be looking at what we're gonna get for an end product versus what it was going to be on bid day. This isn't realistic, it doesn't matter. We already lowered our light level with the changes that were made during the project. So it brings up big concerns for me on, it's mentioned in here that it was designed to a recreation standard, not a club standard or a pro standard or whatever they called it. So I have to question at that point where they came up with that, because if we can reach these levels now, why was it designed the way it was before? Why did we have higher levels if we can achieve it with this? Yeah, and we would have had one more pole in it on bid day. I would question why it's not designed to a club level. We obviously have a club here. A lot of the design criteria and the sales pitch that was brought to the council was that it's going to bring tournaments into town. It's going to put heads in beds, and that's why Visit Marshfield stepped up and did this. So do we have a guarantee that these light levels are not going to exempt any tournaments coming to town? I think it completely defeats the whole purpose of what all the work we went through in the arguments and everything else, if this is going to impact it in a way that we don't get those heads in beds. It sounds like an easy way out to me, although the $10,000 is very appealing. I understand that.
Yeah.
But this can have extended issues that come from it that no one seems to be able to answer, including why did we hire an engineering or design firm that designed it $10,000 over what we had to have for a project like this? It's counterintuitive to believe that it was designed to that level and now it's okay to cut, all this off. Just none of it makes sense to me. So my thought process is there a way that we can talk to them and still get a deduction because they did screw it up, they have extended the time, and still get the 26-foot poles, where hopefully we can still meet the criteria for these tournaments, or have someone guarantee us that we're not going to lose tournaments, or it's not going to have an impact on exactly why this was approved and brought forward. It's frustrating, very frustrating.
Yeah, and I think maybe I'll look to Justin for help in a minute. I mean, I look at those three categories and I see competition, pro level. That's obviously not us. Yeah. What I don't always know is the difference between the club level and the recreational level. I know that attracting tournaments is something that the pickleball group really wants to do. And my understanding is that they wouldn't want to have a level of lighting that would rule out the type of activities they picture occurring there. So I'm going to see if you have any comment on what that recreational level means.
Okay, Justin, before you start, Rebecca, when Justin gets done, then you're up next, okay? Just want to let you know, because she's on Zoom, can't see us. Okay,
I think the
thank you,
question
Justin.
was, what's the difference between maybe club, pro, collegiate, and recreational level? I don't really know the specifics of pickleball and all those levels of that various, but I would assume a club level is an actual athletic club, a club like a fitness club that you see in a big city, be at that level. A club that a pickleball club would belong to, like an inside club, like they have over in Green Bay or Appleton, the internal light levels. Recreational, it's a recreational park. That's why it was kind of designed to be a recreational park. I don't pick the standards. I didn't design the lights, but that's what I understand.
But I know you and I have talked about this before. The hope is that there'll be tournaments occurring where there might be teams coming from Eau Claire and other things like that. There's nothing from what you know to preclude that from happening with this level of.
I asked that question for the pickleball players to weigh in, and they said they don't see that as an issue. They are hoping the lights are installed by their tournament, which is June 7th, which is the same day as the ribbon cutting. So that's when they're hoping they can play their games at night because they're planning on it.
Thank you.
Alderman Spiros?
All right, so I have a little bit of the same concerns Mike was talking about. If I'm understanding him correctly, so the two diagrams you gave us with the amount of lighting on it, the first diagram was not the original, or was that the original? And we've since then cut a light, and we didn't get that updated one compared to what it would be with the 24-foot poles rather than the 26. That's how I'm understanding what he's saying. That's my number one question. But number two, I have the same concerns about what the limit that will be inflicted on us having tournaments. Because according to what I'm reading, the recreational level requires the 20 to 30-foot candles, and the club level, which is the next level up, is the 30 to 60-foot candles, and Competition Pro is even higher than that. I assumed we would be able to do at least the club level tournament. So I feel like if we decrease down to 24-foot poles, we eliminate that ability to have the club level tournament.
I think we were pointing on the fact that we were shooting for the recreational level regardless of 26 or 24-foot poles. I mean, if you look at the 20.
Well, I wasn't aware of that. I don't even remember that being part of the discussion when we talked about this. I remember it being a discussion on the ability to have tournaments, and that's the reason that we donated money to this was so that we would have heads in beds. So I don't remember that ever being discussed when it was presented to us, which.
Yeah, and I definitely respect the question. I think the real.
Kind of crappy.
Okay, I definitely respect your question. I think the real heart of it, again, is the definition of club versus recreation, because what I've been hearing and understanding all along, and I'm seeing Justin nodding again, is that the type of activities, the type of tournaments and gatherings they expect to have out there to bring people from other cities to play here is not going to be hindered at all by the level of lighting we're talking about. The club is another level beyond that we probably wouldn't be in that world. That's my understanding.
And we never had intentions to be in that world, is what you're saying, even though with the 26-foot poles, we would have been able to do club level tournament.
I see Justin heading back to the podium. I'll let him address that.
From a department's perspective, we never talked or even addressed or even knew about professional club or recreational candlelight levels. We asked for the courts to be lit. They knew it was in a park. They were going to light it or design it, what the purpose was, which was recreational. I didn't even know about these candlelight limits until this week or last week. So we didn't have discussions, or I didn't not withhold that information. We never just talked about the recreational level compared to pro level. I didn't even know that was a thing. Obviously, lights are brighter at a professional ballpark for baseball compared to a high school one, and different from a recreational one. I know that, but I can't tell you what those light levels are or how those are impacted. So we just looked for it to be designed, and then we kind of got to this point to be talking about candles at different places on the courts.
So I understand what you're saying, that you didn't anticipate any of this when we were talking about it at the beginning. I get that, but we have the information now in front of us. And what I'm trying to figure out is, do 24-foot poles stop us from having club level tournaments, and 26 poles would give us that ability? I know that you don't anticipate having any club level tournaments. I get that. But that may happen somewhere down the road. In 3 months, we may get 3 or 4 people who say, hey, can we have a club level tournament at your facility? And we, hacked off our poles by 2 foot and shot ourselves in the foot in the process. I'm just wondering, does that make a difference? Because it looks like it does.
Yeah, I can't weigh in on whether or not the pickleball people want to bring in club level tournaments. They're the ones coordinating the tournaments. They're the ones taking the registrations, organizing it, running the gameplay or the games. They're the ones who do the schedule, and they're the ones who said the lighting level should be fine for what they're looking to do. We're not, from a department's perspective, looking at putting club level type tournaments here. We're just looking at providing a recreational resource for the community.
But to answer your question, I think, I don't see or hear any indication from what I've read the emails of the consultants that Justin has shared with me, that the difference between 26 and 24-foot poles is the difference between being able to have club level events and not. I mean, you're looking, even if you look at the light impact, it's a little bit more here on this side, a little bit less here on that side. It's not a great measurable difference. We're still right around that 30-foot foot candles marked pretty much. I think if we were looking for the level you're talking about, it would have to have been a greater improvement, maybe a greater improvement to the entire facility. I don't know. I'm not sure if in a place like where we are with 12 courts, we get a lot of the kind of bigger events that people might be thinking about. But it doesn't come down to the 26 versus the 24-foot poles.
Alderman Werman?
Yeah, I just wanted to stop everybody there before we go too far. If you look at the drawings and you look at the photometric studies that were done, we have minimal differences. And if you're comparing those numbers to the competition, club, college, and recreation levels, we are perfectly within range for club college level. We could probably even squeeze out competition level if we maxed out the lights, because our high readings are actually going to be brighter with the shorter light poles. So yeah. If anything, in most of the play areas, we're actually going to benefit from having a shorter light pole. It's just on the outskirts in the walk paths that's where we're going to see a decrease. So yeah, if you just look at the numbers between the two, a majority of it is going to be a lot brighter on the court, actually, and we're still going to fall perfectly in range for the club collegiate level. We're actually like right in the middle of it from what I see. So
yeah, good point.
Alderman Curran?
So I spoke to Matt McLean today, Visit Marshfield, the organization that we sat through at least one, if not two presentations from pickleball, and wanted to get his, the Visit Marshfield side of this, since they're funding the lights. Matt's opinion was if the pickleball board approved this, that he would live with what the pickleball group would like. And I believe that vote was 5-1 in favor. Also, in the pitches for tournaments that they made us, which basically got the funding to be approved, it was recreational players coming to the area to play. There wasn't talk of anything on a club level. It was there was talk of these large groups of individuals who love to play pickleball that travel from community to community. And that's what the pitch that was made to us. I just wanted to put that out there because it was unique information, I think, specific to Visit Marshfield.
Alderman O'Reilly?
Thank you. Again, I will stress, I think it was disingenuous the way this was brought forward, because we are not comparing what was bid day to what we're getting in the end product here. The middle change was not documented. We did not address the light levels when all that changed. So that in and of itself, I have a problem with. I don't have a problem with approving this, taking the $10,000 as long as we get what we need. But I will also stress at that point that I would strongly suggest never using that engineering firm again, because they obviously way over engineered it, because we started 2 levels below or above where we're at now. So at this point, I would strongly suggest that staff take a look at blacklisting these people, because they are costing us a lot more money for something that this lower design could have accomplished. And that's a pretty big deal in the construction world.
Any more comments, questions? Seeing none, please vote.
Mrs. Spiros?
Yes.
Mr. Rigel?
Motion passes. Thank you. And who would like to vote to adjourn? Alderman O'Reilly, second by Alderman Werman. And please press your button to adjourn. The two on screen have already done their due diligence.
Mrs. Spiros?
Mr. Fire?
And Mr. Rigel? Ms. Tompkins?
We are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you all.